Welcome everyone to today's event. My name is Kelvin, and I'm going to be your host for today's event. I'm the chapter director for Startup Grind Helsinki, and with me today I have three amazing, awesome speakers who are going to be helping us dive into the topic of Accelerator Program, how it works, why you as a startup should even think about applying to join one or even all of them. You know, some myths that people think about Accelerator Program, you know, about the funding, the connection, and everything that you will need to know. So ensure to write down all your questions and throw them into the Q&A section as we'll be going over them. Today's event, we are cross-promoting with Startup Grind Oslo. So thank you guys from Oslo for cross-promoting the event and inviting some of your audience. With that being said, let's get right straight into the event proper. First and foremost, thank you guys. Thank you, Patrik. Thank you, Tomi. And thank you, Mikael, for joining us for this fireside chat. I hope you enjoyed staying with our audience and sharing your experience with our community.
Nice to be here.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah. Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Yeah, all right. Thanks for the invite, Kelvin. Pleasant to be here.
Awesome. So a bit of an intro. Kiuas is the leading startup accelerator in Finland, supporting early stage startups in their journey from idea to first revenue and beyond. So basically, Kiuas provide early stage startups with invaluable support, networks, and tools to take their progress to the next level. And today we'll have the CEO of Kiuas, Patrik, who will be telling us a bit more about Kiuas. On the other hand, we also have Nordic Startup School. We have Tomi, who is the founder of Nordic Startup School. Nordic Startup School is a world-class accelerator program by experienced entrepreneurs and mentors. NSS provides startup with funding, mentorship, community, and great learning resources to build a successful business. And lastly, we have Mikael from Boost Turku. So Boost Turku organizes Startup Journey, which is a Turku-based early-stage startup accelerator aimed at providing startups with the right environment and support to facilitate the creation of something amazing. So these three speakers we have today, they all have one thing in common. They want to help startups to build something amazing that the world will be proud of. That's why they run their accelerator program. So today we'll be diving in deep into what their program is all about, how Startup Accelerator Program differs from each other, and what you should look out for in terms of your application to join any of their program. All right, but before we go deep into the programs, of course, it would be nice to know, the faces behind the brand, who are our speakers, what is their journey, what is their story. So it will help you, our audience, to actually connect with them personally and get to trust what they are going to be telling you, because they didn't just wake up and started managing the accelerator program. There's a story behind their journey. So I would like to start with Patrik. So Mr. Patrik, can you tell us what did you do before you joined Kiuas? A bit of a background story so our audience could connect with you more on a personal level.
Yeah, thanks for the intro. I guess what is maybe, I don't know, good to know about me. I studied computer science and complex systems, so I'm a geek myself, and I've always been drawn to hackathons and like this hacker mindset. And I used to work before at an organization called Junction, where we organized hackathons around the world. And I met with like some of the most talented like hackathon participants in the world. Went to the United States, saw some of them there as well. And what I noticed is that being a hackathon participant is not very different from being an entrepreneur. And then I got interested in the whole startup ecosystem, and well, as is part of the startup ecosystem, the organizations are quite close to each other. And then I was asked if I would be interested in leading Kiuas. So here I am 1.5 years later.
Beautiful. Thank you for that short backtrack of who you are. I think that helps the audience a bit to understand where you came from and probably why you are doing what you are doing right now in Kiuas. Okay, we'd like to pass the mic to Tomi. So Tomi, tell us, what did you do before you joined Nordic Startup School? What's the story behind your past experience?
Well, I guess my journey begins like 15 years ago or something like that. And I was founding my first startup back in the day when the startup wasn't even a term in Finland. It was before Slush and before everything, and being pretty much startup entrepreneur since in a different companies. And of course, we consider Nordic Startup School to be, in a way, even if we are an accelerator or a startup builder, we consider it to be a startup in a way, because we have the same mindset that everything needs to be done fast, everything we need to be learning all the time, and so on. But like I said, the story why I founded the Nordic Startup School was pretty much because I saw that building your own startup, especially if you take it on an international markets, it's super hard, super consuming, and you need all the possible people, all the possible resources that you can get. And since we are in Finland not really good on the international part, I started building up a network and people around the whole thing, that how can we make the startups expand faster and earlier on their journey on international markets. And it's just my own experience that you need a lot of extra hands, a lot of extra people. You need a lot of things to make it happen. And like I said, if we somehow can, let's say, improve your odds of success, I think that we have managed to do a good job. So that's what we hope to do, because and at the same time, what we also hope to do, that a lot of entrepreneurs stay with their company way too long. So speeding up, like even the failure, it's a good thing. So you tested out your idea and it didn't work. That was a good test. So like I said, being there, helping out the entrepreneurs, helping out them with their challenges, that's really my passion, and that's why I do this. So
Nice. Thank you so much, Tomi, for that. And I totally agree with you. It takes a community to build a startup. It takes a village to build a startup. You know, there's this adage that it takes a village to raise a kid. I think that actually applies to startups. So all the help that startup can get, it's really needed, because the chance of startup surviving is like less than 5%. So if you are actually able to help them succeed, that's really beautiful. All right, cool. Let's go over to Mikael. If you can share a bit about your background, your experience, and what it has been so far with Boost Turku.
Of course, for sure. And I hope you guys hear me. I'm not sure why my camera went off and can't do nothing about it right now. I will fix it a bit. But yeah, I actually have a bit different background than the two other gentlemen over here. I myself I'm a student and doing lots of things in my life, and like I always have had this mindset of, I'm hoping that I'm having the mindset of like entrepreneurship parts of things. And I think because I'm doing so many things, I want to learn new talents, and that kind of environmental habit that I'm having, it pursues me to go forward. And it's funny to see those little things that I'm actually working at the shift also, and that's my way to Boost in back of the day. Actually, I have been in Boost just over 6 months, so I'm quite young on this field, but I'm quite quick to learn new things. So I hope I get these things over here, like speaking as the people wants to hear it.
Nice. Thank you so much for that intro. Boost Turku is doing like really good job. So like the experience and what you've been able to gather within this past 6 months of working with them, it's something that we're looking to hear from you in terms of how the program works, and also some of the startups here can ask some specific questions around that. But hey, thank you so much for joining us, and thanks for that quick intro. So that was a bit about our speakers and who they are, and a bit of their story before they started working with their current company. So now we'll dive deep into the main aim of today, about the accelerator programs and how things work. So I think this time around, we can start with Tomi. So if you can tell us a bit about NSS, Nordic Startup School. What is it all about? What is the vision? Why you created it? And how is it fitting into, the current challenge and startup ecosystem at the moment? You are muted, Tomi.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, I think that the whole idea is about bringing group of diverse group together, helping out startups really accelerate their progress. Because I think that we have this problem in Finland that we are not really that diverse as we like to think. And we need more international people. We need more international minds. We need a diversity in our thinking. And that's what we hope to bring during the program. So all the startups meet a lot of not only local, but mostly international mentors and people that help them understand what is really needed on the startup to really possibly expand their company to their local markets and so on. And of course, at the same time, we see that helping out startups should be a long-term commitment. It's not like that you can do miracles in a couple of weeks or a couple of months. So I think that's our big vision, that to really work long-term with the best entrepreneurs, with the best startups, and bring in all the possible help that we can deliver to help them really speed up their progress. And of course, at the same time, on a softer side, I always say that NSS is not just about startup, but it's also about speeding up the positive change in the world in a way. It's not like it's a super cliche to make a world a better place, but we really hope to mean that how can we really make the change happen through the entrepreneurship, because that's the only way that it can happen. That's what we hope to do, speeding up the positive impact, speeding up the positive change in a world, not only locally, but also in a European level. And our vision really is that we hope that we can pretty much expand the program and our concept in a couple of European countries, let's say during the next 1 and 2 years. We already have some plans, but the bold vision is also we make the startup and startup entrepreneurship to be a viable option wherever you are located. It doesn't have to be Finland. Because Finland is in an okay shape, but we really want to be making things more equal in a, let's say, wider scale. And that's what we hope to do. That's the vision.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I think this gives the audience a bit of a background in terms of what you do. And for some of them that are thinking of applying to Nordic Startup School, now they understand a bit more about the vision. Okay, let's go over to Boost Turku. Mikael, tell us, what's the vision of Boost Turku? Like, what do you guys intend to achieve? You're mute. You are currently muted. Now you can. Yes.
Now, yeah. So yeah, we always want to make our program more and more better every year, because I think journey has been around now it's the 4th time of Boost Turku history, and we always want to look where we started and want to get the next steps year after year. And the whole thing is about that we want to give the opportunity to people who has a little bit of startup minded perspectives and ideas, and make them get the knowledge and then make themselves better, and also progress on their own ideas and companies that they are having. And we want to make sure that from idea that you are having, you can actually make it happen, and then like go through all those different things, like going to Kiuas after our program. That's maybe the one big goal for every team who we are having. And I think that's part of the ecosystem that you just need to little bit know where to go next. And I think me promoting Kiuas for everyone who is like having those little ideas, you can go there and like then progress more and more and more. And I think that's the main goal to us, to actually give that little spark to the people who has the little ideas.
It's nice. I really like the way you look at this thing, in terms of next step and not more of a competitive advantage, like a competition, in the sense that someone that passed through your program, you actually advise them to go through Kiuas also.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
In that sense, we are more like working towards the same goal, to help the startups to establish, to grow. So I like that part, because to bring all the accelerator programs together like this, I know some people will be thinking, okay, which one should I go and which one should I not go? But what if you can go to all? If there are different things you can gain from all. But that's by the way. We'll have a question to talk about that in a nutshell. All right. Thank you so much for that intro. So let's go over to Kiuas. Patrik, tell us what's the big vision? Where is Kiuas driving us to?
Yeah, so I guess what we believe in is just looking at what's happening in the world. So overall, now is probably the best time in the world to become an entrepreneur. So building a global company has never been easier, almost regardless of where you are. And we see new startup ecosystem popping up around the world, everywhere, literally. And so because of that, we believe that entrepreneurship is at a breaking point. And currently we talk about, startup ecosystems, but we believe that in 10 years, it's no longer a startup ecosystem. It's just a regular part of society. And startups are a much bigger part of how business is done in the world. Now, on the other hand, we also see that we are seeing bigger threats to humankind than ever before. We have climate change, we have pandemics, we have very volatile politics, but yet the sort of power structures in the world are also changing. So we expect that there's going to be even more bigger problems in the near future than what we are seeing today. And we're in the midst of a pandemic. And those two combined, we believe that entrepreneurship is a very promising path, or like probably the best bet towards solving some of the hardest challenges in the world. And because of that, we want to play an active role in helping entrepreneurs. Now, it's a good question, who need the help and in which stage? And to look at that, you kind of have to look at the whole funnel of like, when do people start thinking about entrepreneurship and when do they actually like make an IPO or hire 10,000 people to their company? And I would like to say there are some trends and phenomenon, and our biggest thing is the Kiuas Accelerator Program, which is already for established startups that have already the first customers or at least an MVP and people working full time on the company. But to be honest, it's very case by case. So no matter what we do, no matter what kind of programs we make, it all comes down to like finding talented founders who want to change the world and then like giving them the unfair advantage to like help the world even more. And ever since last fall, we decided that we're focusing on sustainability startups. So startups that have some kind of a bigger impact as one of our criteria. So I guess that sort of sums up the big picture. In practice, we have courses on entrepreneurship and, programs like Kiuas Start, where Kelvin has also been part of. And then, of course, we have the Kiuas Accelerator, which is the program that's running right now and so forth. So for a little bit of different stages, we have different things. Some with more success and recognition, some with less.
Amazing. That's so beautiful. Actually, for me, I've been part of Kiuas Start, and I'm a mentor in Nordic Startup School, and Boost Turku is our partner for Startup Grand Helsinki. So I'm already attached to these three big companies here, in some way. That's why I'm a big fan of what they do, because I've seen the real impact of what they do. I've been close enough to understand the program, how things are going, which was one of the reasons why I thought that, damn, how will it feel like if we can bring these three together and give a lot of information to our audience on what is possible out there. Because one thing about startups is that most times you are buried into what you are building, that you don't understand the kind of help that is out there for you. You know, you don't understand the kind of opportunities that is out there for you to leverage. So one of them being able to go through an accelerator program, you don't know what the program entails, which is why we're having this panel discussion. So you can get to understand what is inside the program, how can it benefit you, and what are some of the things they are struggling with now that going through these programs can actually help you with. And yeah, thank you guys for the intro about, you know, the program and the vision. I hope this will help our audience to actually understand why you do what you do and the direction that you are going. Just a quick side note. So we have already some prepared questions that we're going to be asking the speakers, but this does not stop you as an audience from asking your own questions. So we have this little Q&A section on the right-hand side where you can actually go drop in your question, okay? Drop all the questions there. I'll be going through them during the panel discussion, and the speakers will be answering some of them. So don't think that we're going to be the one just talking, or I'm going to be the one just reading out all the questions that we have here. The main reason of this panel discussion is to get all of your questions answered. So bring all of them out and ensure that you get them answered before the end of this event. Okay, that was a brief intro into, you know, the vision of the 3 programs. But now we would like to get a bit more practical, you know, because I know before I even went through an accelerator program, of course, I don't know what the heck goes inside there. What are the practicalities? What do they help you do? How is the program structures? How is the module? What exactly happens? So we'd like to go over like what happens inside of the program. So I think this time around, we can start with Mikael. Can you tell us what happens in this accelerator program of Boost Turku? How is the program structured, and what are the different stages you take startups through?
Yeah. So little bit more on our like little things that we actually have, like Kiuas has this different kind of like programs. We also have 4 in the year, and all of them helps you more and more to get to the journey part. So the biggest program that we are having, and it's now going on, and we are providing in journey time like workshops, 101s, and coaching sessions if they need any specific help on any questions on related on their startups. But I think the most valuable and like keen thing in journey is that we are 8 weeks that we are having it, and each week has its own team, like team that we need to tell them. The first one is more about what is actually like startup and what you need to know a little bit more on it. Then there is pitching, there is like how you get founded from the VC capital parts or investor or anything like that, and so many more things. And I think it's the key of building your own thing to the next level. It's not just an idea, you are progressing it to become a startup. So you can scale it up and go, like I said, you can go to Kiuas if it's the next step you can do, and if Kiuas is taking you, if the qualification is good enough. And yeah, but of course there is so many things that is going on in the journey time, and teams are quite busy and hectic, and many new things to learn.
It's nice. That's a good insight into what happens in Boost Turku. Okay, let's go over to Kiuas. Patrik, what happens inside Kiuas, and what can our audience actually know in terms of preparing to apply, and I don't know, things that they should actually prepare themselves for before they get on board?
By the way, at which point do you want to answer questions from the Q&A? I see there's a few of them there. So I was thinking, should we do some of them right now? I think actually Param had already a good question about in what ways do we continue to support the startups that have graduated from our programs. And well, a little bit tying back to what I said earlier, that I feel like with everyone, it's kind of like, depends on the team. Some of them need more help, some of them need less. So it's kind of like the teams that realize that they can always ask for help, they get a lot more help. But yeah, in a nutshell, what Kiuas does, we have, I would say, 4 products. So one of them is for anyone who's just interested in entrepreneurship, but you have no idea what is a go-to market strategy or how to raise capital, or like what does a term sheet mean, or what does it mean to found a team legally. For that, we have the Starting Up course, which is for free. And if you're a student, you can get credits out of it. Recommend for everyone. Takes a few hours, but it's super fun and has like all of the basic jargon. So after that, reading about startup news also gets a lot easier. The sort of second part after that is that we know that a lot of you are in the stage or have been in the stage of thinking that, well, if you would start a company, who would you start it with? And while some of you might have obvious answers, if you have a colleague or a friend, your childhood friend, in Silicon Valley, there's a saying that if you did not meet your co-founder in kindergarten, Stanford will do. And I believe that that's kind of the same mentality that goes around in Finland, that it kind of has to be someone who you've met either at work or school. But because that's not the case for everyone, and we believe that diverse co-founding teams might actually go a lot further, we created a platform called Kiuas Inside, which is an online platform where you can essentially meet a co-founder. You can find profiles and also startup ideas there, and then you can send a message to someone that, hey, I really like the problem you're solving. Do you want to talk about it? And the next thing you know, you might be on board with them and starting a company with a stranger. But yeah, then like our actual programs, we have the Kiuas Start, which is meant for teams that want to try out being an entrepreneur. It's kind of like what we call a crush test. So if you don't know how the idea is going to turn out, then it's a great place around 1 month, and then you see if it works out or not. And then we have a Kiuas Accelerator in the summer, which is this year 7 weeks. And for this year, we've also invited teams from outside of Finland, from Nordics and Baltics. And it's about helping teams that already have at least an MVP and maybe first customers, maybe a full-time employee. And we help them just scale to the stars is what we aim for. But yeah, the mentoring workshops, all the usual that goes into an accelerator program. But what we really try to do is drive up the quality by rigorously going through feedback and listening to the startups of sessions that didn't go so well, and mentors who were more talk and less action, and then like ditching those people out of the program. And yeah, I guess that's it.
Thanks for that detailed breakdown of the program. I think it's detailed enough that someone can already decide on, okay, whether they're going to apply for the next program or not. But yeah, thank you for that from Kiuas. Now we can go over to Tomi. What happens inside NSS? What's the program structure like, and what should startups prepare for in terms of applying and getting to know how the program works?
All right. So first thing first, what I tell you now is probably a bit different what I tell you in 6 months from now, since like I said, program and everything is overall constantly improving and evolving. But for the autumn, when I talk about it, we're going to be really bringing in a lot of people early on to decide who companies do we want to be working with. So is that through the application progress, we select 15 companies. And basically the phase is, let's say, they have some sort of MVP done, or they have some, best case scenario would be that they have, let's say, some let's say early revenue, but that's not the case. Usually we just look into the founders and the team behind the startup, what kind of people they are. Are they actually able to do the stuff that they hope to do? Because like I said, we see that is a really huge gap in most of the startups. your competence and your experience and overall, it just doesn't match your big vision in a way. And that's why we hope that, okay, you have a really good like duo or something like that. What do you need to become better? And then we start bringing in like people that are going to be working closely with you. Your team is going to be having like one lead mentor that is going to be working closely with the team or full, let's say, almost 3 months. And the whole structure is that there's about 3 months, and all the months start with a boot camp that has a different theme. And the boot camp basically gives you a structure what you should be doing during the next month, because it's not only about really what it's really important that you do the right things at the right time. If you're focusing on, like I said, we see that a lot in Finland, that people are looking to fundraise when they have no chance to fundraise. And that's sort of like the first thing that what unfortunately we had to talk with a lot of people, that there's a lot this really, really big, let's say, I'm going to say the word bullshit here, that a lot of companies go to pitching events that they have no chances to raise because they're not even close there. So we try to be the, let's say, the common sense to bring into the table that, hey, let's focus on the customer first. And then when you have the customer and you have some, let's say, validation done, then you can start thinking about the fundraising, and then we can bring in the investors. But it doesn't come other way around. You always need to have the customer first. You can't build customers through the investor money. So having the right order, that's the really important. But yeah, so that's the basic structure. All the months started with a bootcamp has a different thing. Usually it's around the customer, making the early sales, making how you do the marketing, make the team understand what kind of challenges they have now, what kind of things they need to be solving now, and what kind of challenges that they are going to be having later on. Because it's a big journey, and like I said, you need to be preparing. If you need to be hiring, you need to be starting thinking about how can you even make hiring happen much earlier than you do the hiring. And so it's got to sort of like having a big understanding about the big picture. What do you need to do in the long run? And of course, out of those companies that we work, around 10 companies per batch twice a year, we work, let's say, about 50% of those, we make a longer term commitment, start helping them out even more hands-on with the operation, with the sales, with the financing, with the fundraising, like everything that they need to be supported on. Because like I said, small team usually has a lot of gaps, and we hope that we can bring people that can fill in those gaps. Because it's like I said, founding team is always small, and there's always and then you need the outside people and outside help. And like I said, ego to the side, if you can't like accept the help, everything covered, you're definitely not for us. It's sort of like one of those fundamental things that we are always looking at founders, that they can understand that they're never going to be ready for like fully explode with their growth. There's always people that they need.
Easily said. All right. I think that's good enough about the whole program. At least now we get to understand what the different programs entail, the structure, and what goes on inside. I think at this point in time, we can take a few of the questions from the audience before we go over to our own Q&A. So there's a question from Para. He's asking, of course, we can also take this question like based on our like different programs. So you can answer based on, let's say, Patrik, you can answer based on the insights from Kiuas, and Tomi, you can do the same for NSS, and Mikael, you can do the same for Boost Turku. He's asking, in which ways do you continue to support the startups that have graduated from your respective programs? Do you have some sort of alumni lifelong connection kind of thing? But anyone can go first. Patrik, Tomi, Mikael, feel free to jump in.
Well, I can say, because it's sort of like what the last bit that I explained, that like I said, we work more closely with around 50% of the teams that are going through the program. And then we make a, let's say, around 12 months agreement with them that, hey, these are the people that we're going to be bringing you as a mentors, as an advisors, as a really hands-on help. And also the network is going to be helping the team. So that's like the hands-on part. But of course, like I said, we're not working with all the teams. in that way. But we, of course, do alumni events, invite the people that have been going through the program to our, let's say, coaching events that happen. Every time that we bring in something, all the alumni are always welcome. Of course, we want to be helping out and creating, giving, and let's say, making those connections between the entrepreneurs as well, because it's really important that you network with your peers and you see there's a lot of like great insight, a lot of great experience, a lot of great network between other entrepreneurs, and you should be really using that as well, and using your own network and everything to help them as well. So it needs to go both ways. So of course, like I said, as we do, as of course, it's most, let's say, limited in those about five companies each batch that we work more closely with. That's pretty much it. And then, of course, if things go well, we continue with another agreement for another 12 months with different goals and so on. So
nice, cool. Patrik, do you want to go next from Kiuas?
Yeah. So we refer to the people who've gone through our programs as Kiuas alumni, and we aim to find ways to help. But to be honest, usually the stage of the companies varies quite a lot. So we have quite little uniform content. Sometimes we have catch-ups when there is not a pandemic ongoing, but and sometimes some virtual things. We're organizing community events this summer at Korjaamo. Actually, the next one is next Wednesday, so at 5 p.m. If you want to see a few startups pitch and maybe get a drink ticket, come by at Korjaamo in Töölö. Invitation is for everyone in this session. So, yeah, we do things like these. But outside of that, we keep an eye out on the teams. And whenever we find connections where we feel like, well, actually, they could really utilize this new investor we found or something, then we sort of help them out more. But we aim to have Kiuas more as a platform so that the teams need to know also what to ask. So it's really kind of hard for us to be a lifeline for the teams and kind of doing everything preemptively for them. Like if we would know how to run their companies better than the founders, we would just take over. But we believe that they know better and we can be a supporting role there. So then usually if the teams know how to ask for connections to media, to corporate clients, to investors, to other countries or other accelerators, then we can provide. But usually the teams that ask more, we are more in contact with them.
Nice. That's great. All right. Mikael, do you want to tell us how Boost supports the startups after they graduate?
Yeah, sure. And we also have the same. We have Boost alumni and they own networks and those kind of things, so they can help each other. But of course, they can always ask us if there is anything that we can help. We want to help, and we always we are doing those little things with Startup Green. We are doing things with investors. We are doing things with different ESCs. So if they have any more knowledge or anything, of course we want to provide it to our startups, and we also, when we have those programs running up, the alumni will have the meeting in some point of the program, and our startups in the program can catch up and have those little questions. But of course, always when the coaches who are in our programs and the investors who are helping us, we want to give the connection to the alumni, and they can always ask from there also. So every part of our community, we want to provide those to the alumni that has gone through our program.
Mm-hmm. All right, thank you for that. I think that answers your question, Para. So we have another question from Waneri Carlo. So he's asking, can funds be given to already business owners? So I think he's asking more of for already established business that are joining the accelerator programs. Are they being provided with any sort of funding? Also, either of you can jump in and quickly talk about it from your perspective. Yes.
Yeah, well, I guess what kind of funds you're talking about? Like if you already have registered a company and you join our program, then of course you are eligible for investment from, for example, investors. But like, I guess, I don't know if this is a question for programs where you actually fund the teams that take part in the program.
Yeah, maybe something around like joining the team. Of course, after they graduate from the program, they become eligible for funding. But why joining the team? Are there like, maybe you can explain like the funding opportunities that are available for them, for example?
Like in general, there's a lot of capital in the ecosystem aimed at startups. So starting from grants from universities to public money like Business Finland grants and loans, as well as like banks have, of course, loans as well. There's also like, as an entrepreneur, if you decide to start your company, you can get starttiraha from the government. It's kind of like unemployment benefit, but for founding a company. Like there's a lot of different ways to get money, right? And how you should get money depends entirely on your business. Best way usually is like if you have customers that pay for it. So I would say a lot of these are applicable depending on the situation, but then of course there's like the private equity, venture capital firms, angel investors. Am I missing something?
How about you, Tomi, from NSS?
Well, I think like I can say on our behalf that if we really like the company and they need, let's say, let's say 30,000 or something like that, that's something that we can provide. Like I said, if like I said, spending a lot of time fundraising is something that we hope that the companies don't need to do. So we're actually setting up a separate entity that's going to be making 30K to 70K investments in the best company through the program, but after the program only, because we want to get to know the team better first. But like I said, if you focus on building up your company and really pushing it forward for 3 months, and we are impressed by your doing, then the money will come. It's sort of like what we hope to do, and we can help out the team with that. It's not usually done through connections and the people that are going to be making you the introduction. So I guess that's like my key point, that look for the people that you know, look for the people, your own connections that can help you out with the relationship with everybody. Because like I said, going in cold to meet people, that's always the slowest path.
Nice. All right. Thanks for that. Mikael, I don't know, do you add to that?
No, I just want, like, my whole thing is more like same as Patrik, so nothing new to add.
All right, cool. Okay, now we go straight to the Q&A that we prepared. We'll also be checking through the Q&A in the event section to see if the audience have some questions. So I have the first quick question here. How do you select the startups? What are the criteria or metrics you look out for to help you make a decision on which startups makes it? Because I assume that you get hundreds of applications and you don't take all of them. So how do you decide on which startup makes it into your program?
Well, I can start. So pretty much for any of our programs, we have 3 things that we look for. The first thing is the problem that the startup is solving. And there's a lot of ways to think about a problem that a startup is solving, but usually we kind of look at how impactful it is, kind of like, is the world a better place if this problem is solved? And also, is the world a better place if like 1% of this problem is solved, or like 0.1%? And then we also look at usually the kind of the volume of the problem. So like in 3 dimensions, how frequent is the problem, how many people have the problem, and how severe is the problem? And then like based on that, we can usually understand like, is it something that really needs the kind of attention to be solved, or is there some startup that has maybe a more severe problem? So usually if you're solving something like climate change or like something health tech related, usually you have a pretty strong card already there. Now, then the second thing that we look for is simply the team. Can the team deliver, and do they have a history of delivering things? So if they can show that they like created a product by themselves from scratch, usually that's a really good sign, but usually the teams are quite early also. So then we have to look at, do they have a history of just doing things? And also, are they committed to the startup? Sometimes we see people who are part of 4 startups at the same time. And then it's kind of hard to understand, is this the thing you're committed to, or is there something else that you prioritize over this? Because we don't want to commit ourselves to startups that end up in doing something entirely else. And then lastly, we look at the Kiuas fit, kind of like, is the stage suitable for the program at hand? Does it make sense? Can we like really help them? And alongside that, is the team like coachable? Like if they can take feedback and they seem like they are actually to learn and to improve themselves, then usually that's a good thing. So 3 things: we look at the problem, we look at the team, and we look at the sort of Kiuas fit. But one thing that we almost do not look at is the idea, sort of like, what is your actual solution? Because we believe that if a lot of the earlier companies are anyway going to pivot at some point, so it doesn't matter what your initial idea is. And the second thing is that even though you would have a super brilliant idea, what is the chance that we're going to notice it and we're going to be like, this is the next like Volt or Uber or Airbnb? All of them, by the way, which aren't really great ideas. It's only like how they built the companies that they became great. And were solving meaningful problems and had good teams and also like good fit in the ecosystem, I guess. But anywho, just as a twist, that I think a lot of the teams that apply think that we only care about their technical solution, which is not true.
Nice. That's really deep insight. So like the startups will stop focusing on the solution they are building and understand that once the problem is big enough and they have the right team, they can shoot it into the application. Okay. Tomi, how about Nordic Startup School? What do you look out for?
I think it's like the same elements that Patrik said, that like I said, we look into that, is the problem real that they are trying to solve? Because there's like a lot of things that are sort of like, in a way, artificial ideas that they are not really building anything new. But other than that, we the same thing that we don't really look like on a product that deeply. Of course, if we see that it's not working and stuff like that, that's a different thing. But it's definitely not what is the actual benefit that the product is delivering. Is it real, and what's the value that the company is building? Because I think that the value is one of the key words what we hope to do. That is this company really delivering value to the customer or the society or what? And if we don't find that, it makes hard for us to believe it. But still coming back to the team, because like I said, if we really like the founders and the founders are something that we would really would like to work with, then we can be really like thinking about it, that okay, we can help you out on the other stuff because you're golden and you really want to do this. And of course, like the commitment and everything, because like a lot of companies have a big team on a paper, but actually it can be only like 1 or 2 people doing it, everything. And that's not a real team also. So those kind of questions we just gotta ask, because we don't want the full team to be showing up. So we get to know the team. It's not like if you have a 4-member team and only 1 or 2 are every week, it's not really feeling like a team. And I think that like I said, if the founders are good, I think that the way is already in place, because of course it's again about the soft that we like to work with the people that we can see that are really awesome people that we really enjoy working with, because we're like I said, it's a long-term commitment what we're looking at, and really working with a team of like a weekly basis. We really want to be able to like the persons behind everything. So we really look deep into the people behind the company. And like I said, most of the issues can be fixed, but fixing up people, that's hard. It's if you have let's say we have seen, unfortunately, that if you have a lot of experience, has to experience both, build up a big ego on the side as well. And that's something that we just don't like, because you need to be humble. You need to be able to like always listening, and even if you hear something that you don't like, you need to be, and you need to be at least listen, and not all the feedback is like should be listened, but still you need to be able to listen. If you're just like making excuses, stuff like that all the time, it's not just for us. But yeah, so still coming down, if I have to like pick one thing that we look into, it's the people. Everything, most of the other stuff can be helped and can be fixed, but if the people are not ready for that, we can't do anything.
Nice. That's a very powerful insight, because most times people don't realize that their team is what will determine whether they will get accepted to the program or not. So they focus more on the idea and what they are solving and all of that, not realizing that there's just one thing they need to fix, which is the team. So really good that you shared that with the audience. All right, Mikael, do you want to add something to that for Boost Turku?
Yeah. There is many like same things as that Patrik and Tomi has been said, but like for us, it's like also the team, if they are not commitment enough, we of course can take them, because like the stage that the startups are in coming to our program, they are so early startups. They only have maybe the idea, the team, and those kind of things. And the team is the key part that the successful things will happen. But of course, we need to look at the ideas, if it's scalable enough to fit to our ecosystem, and also for the future parts of the startup. And like as has been said, that they don't need to bring a new idea from the ground. It can be something that has been already done, but done in a different way. And that's one thing. And maybe one I didn't even mention before, that we are actually in the journey. We have two different tracks. We have game teams and we have business teams. And of course, we need to look at them a little bit different, because the game tracks teams are developing games. And there is, like most of the time, they are like making new things out of the game industry. They want to like make new because they want to be the next like huge thing. But in the business track, there is the same things, but in a different kind of way. And I think that's the main key. But yeah, we also look, there is those things that has been said, and I don't want to make the circle go again. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
All right, thank you for that. But this team has been like the most reoccurring. Let's put a spotlight a bit on team. So when you talk about you looking out for the team, or you make your selection based on the team, what exactly do you look out for in a team for you to decide that this team is the team that we're looking for? Is it the diversity in terms of different experience from different background, or is it the experience, or is it the connection? Like, what exactly makes you like distinguish a great team from a not so great team?
Of course, there is like the commitment. That is the big thing. But like, of course, how the team can put themselves through the program. Like, can they hear our successions, and also for the mentors and like the coaches, if they are providing new things to the team, can they actually like learn from it, not just be so into the idea and into their own things. They want to learn and grow on our program. So I think that's that one that we need to actually look at, is that there are more than just focusing on the like one straight thing. They need to get the whole view of different kind of areas.
All right. How about for you, Patrik? Like, how do you differentiate the great team from the not so great teams in Kiuas?
Well, of course, it's super hard in the beginning to know the teams. I think every time when we've had teams take part in the programs, you look at them differently after the program than like before the program. But the things we try to look for is, does the sort of narrative of the person fit in, or the people in the team fit into like building a successful company of what they're doing? And usually what it comes down to is some kind of like conviction to succeed and like being committed to the thing that they're solving. And it doesn't mean being committed to a single idea. It doesn't mean just that, they want to make a lot of money. But usually when there is a team who all are on the same page, that they just want to solve the problem and find a way that sort of like how they can solve it in a big way, then usually that leads to great things. And if you can see that they've been doing great things before, they are more likely to do great things again. And sometimes how you can see the greatness is that if they've been in the industry, for example, and they just notice that what they've been doing in the corporate world just isn't enough to solve a problem that they are passionate about, then they might do the switch and jump into like building a company. And then they like utilize the long path in industry or corporate or academy or like whatever into their advantage. And one thing we also see is that good teams, they really utilize their background as well. So they don't shy away from things that they have learned and utilize those as well.
That's powerful. So you do like a background check, what they're working on and stuff like that. That's cool. And it's good to know. So teams can actually prepare more, So if you are going to an industry that you have no experience in, just know that your chance of, probably getting into this program is slim as compared to someone who has been there, who understands how it works, and who is coming up with a solution for that industry.
But okay, with that being said, I have to say that we also have teams of like second-year students. Last year, we had a team who were still in high school. And so did they have a track record of working at an industry for 15 years? Well, no. But what they had is that they had a very clear problem, and they said that this is what we're going to do. And it was not about, whether we are going to take them into the program or not. They were committed that we're going to solve this thing. If you can help us, that would be great, but we don't need you. So also when there's teams that come into us and say that, yeah, we need to be part of your program because otherwise we're going to die, then, that's not also like a great pitch, I guess.
Nice. That's good to know. Tomi, do you want to add something from NSS?
I guess we look at what the team has done and how long have they existed in a way as well. Like if you have a company that hasn't gone anywhere in, let's say, 3 years, that's like, okay, how are you going to be suddenly exploding? So we need to look a little bit back to look what they have been doing and what they have been learning, and especially the learning part, because like I said, that's what startup needs to do all the time. That okay, things that you test out and working as we hope, and then you're changing things, and eventually you build up a really great insight that hopefully nobody else has. So really the insight that they know something that nobody else knows or understands, that's really something unique. And you don't necessarily need to have a company set up like you can like do the learning and insight without even your own company. And the best companies that we see, they have probably existed like 1 year or even less when they apply, because they have been learning in the background and they've been hustling in a way, hustling in the like side job or something like that they have been making the thing happening on the side. Because it doesn't like, you don't necessarily need to be jumping right away entrepreneur, but you can just build it out, grind it slowly with your friends on a side, and eventually just make a transfer happen. But I guess we look what they have been doing, what they have been learning since they started the company, and maybe hopefully they can be transparent about their failures and mistakes that they have made, because that's how you learn. and nobody gets it right on the first time. That's just how it is, and you need to be making mistakes and smiling and learning while you're doing that, and then you can eventually reach out the next stages.
Mm-hmm. Nice. That's good to know. Still about the team, there's this question that came up. Do you take a single founder company, someone that has not gotten a co-founder yet, he's just alone, or she's just alone, and she's applying or he's applying into your program? How does this affect your decision?
Yes, we do. Usually, like, what those solo founders are looking for is co-founders, and we try to help them, but it's not like impossible. If the problem is clear and they really know what they're doing and it's a very new thing, then it can be natural that they are solo. But yeah, if they're solo and they intend to be solo for a very long period, then that would be suspicious. Maybe to that we would not go, but solo founders are totally okay.
Perfect. How about for Boost Turku? Do you guys take solo founders, or is it just a team purely?
Yeah, for sure we are taking, and we are looking the same thing, that if they are looking to be a solo in a long period of time, it's always a little bit like red flag. Because but yeah, of course we are taking it. Them want to help them.
All right. How about for Nordic Startup School? Is it like a deal breaker, or it's okay?
Well, I'm thinking that have we actually accepted any solo entrepreneurs? Probably like some, but it's quite rare, because like I said, it's really hard to do everything on your own, and it's also a test that you need to attract other people. Then you need to be telling about your idea to other people, and some people will, hey, that's an awesome idea, how can I help? And bringing out other people out of the hiring and everything, because it's definitely, like I said, we can just take like solo entrepreneurs. For in most cases, the good people have already built some team around them, because they understand that it's really hard to do everything on your own. But like I said, again, case by case, somebody super comes in and says, hey, I just like set up my company like 1 month ago, and I've been doing this background research like crazy, and I have this prototype here. Of course, sure, you have done a lot of great stuff on your own, and maybe we can even start building your team around you together. Of course, but like I said, it's always case by case. We definitely look harder on the solo founders for sure, because we need to understand them better.
Okay, that's good to know, because for some accelerator program, once you're a solo founder, is a no-go area. So for you, like, the solo founders still get a chance. And Scott asked a question, like, if you support in terms of looking for co-founders. Patrik already mentioned it. Go to Kiuas Inside. It's actually inside.kiuas.com. It's a platform where you can put your project and you find a co-founder who can work with you on that particular project. So in that sense, Kiuas is already helping you find a co-founder if you need one. So make use of that platform, please. All right. So about the time of existence of the startup before they actually join the accelerator program. What if the startup has been around for quite a while? Do you still accept them? Do you advise them to actually apply? And does it make sense for them to still join the program? Let's say it's a startup that's been around for, I don't know, 2 years, 3 years. They've done a lot of stuff, a bit of a progress. What would be your advice in this case?
Someone else can go first this time.
All right. Tomi, do you want to go for that?
Yeah, sure. Like I said, if you have already built something that didn't work and you're having pivoting and everything, like I said, things can happen. And like I said, you might have been building up your own startup for a couple of years. If you've been working full time in another company, it's just fine. It's not like it's really rarely the game. So it might be actually that you've been smart enough that you understand that, okay, the thing that I'm building now, the market is not ready yet. So you're in a kind of like waiting and preparing that when things are, it can be legal stuff, it can be many things that just don't enable you to make it happen yet. So of course, look into the stuff that what I learning during the last couple of years, and how have you survived for such a long time? Because if you have no customers and you have nothing, how have you live after still here? So you need to be, you might have been clever with your thinking that how you have been able to sustain yourself for such a long time, but for sure it's going to be harder if already quite a lot of funding and you've been like your valuation has been quite high already before. It becomes harder for us to come in because we still want to see our let's say goal is that the company, when they join the program, their evaluation is roughly like between like 1 million, maybe like 1.5. But if they have already raised money like 1 year ago with, let's say, 4 million valuation, and they still see that that's their value, then that becomes harder. But again, it's always case by case. There's like this like red line how everything goes. But like you need to have a good, at least if you have a really good story to share, that what has happened during the first couple of years and how much you have learned, and now you finally understand what you should be doing, then of course, fine, welcome.
All right, thanks for that, Tomi. But Patrik, did you want to go now? Do you look at the maturity of the startup before you actually get them on board? And would you advise them not to even apply if they've been around for such a long time?
I believe that time and stage are two quite different things, especially just like Tomi mentioned, pivoting is a very good sign in many ways, because I don't believe a company that gets it right on the first try. Like, I don't know if there's a successful startup in Finland that would have ever done that. So when there's someone who comes with their initial idea, usually we take it with a bit of caution and look at the problem and team and so forth. But then we also have deep tech companies that might be working on the initial idea for a few years before they have anything. So in that sense also, how long the business has been alive, it depends quite a lot. And usually what we try to look for is the momentum. And is it possible that in the near future, it's going to be explosive and going to grow a lot? Of course, if we have a deep tech company and sort of like the expectancy is that in 10 years, then they're going to start like hiring more people, then we might be a little bit too early for them, or like they are too early for us, I guess. Mm-hmm. But it varies quite a lot. In general, I would say a good rule of thumb is that if you're considering an accelerator, just, send a message to the people who run the accelerator and say, I'm in this stage, should I apply? And usually they say that, well, probably yes. Or like usually they have a pretty good answer then, like, should you or should you not?
Mm-hmm. Nice. That's good to know. Do you have anything to add to this, Mikael?
Yeah, not like any huge things. Like, of course, we always want to know, like as Tomi and Patrik has been saying, that the time isn't the main thing. It's more about the idea and where the progress is coming for. And like, because we are so early stage, it's quite unusual to have, if you have had 2 years of experience and still has it on the idea level. But of course, we want to help them to go forward, like we are providing to, let's say, Kiuas and Founder Institute or anything like that, or NSS. So we always want to give the next step to, if they are like in that type of area that they are not so sure where to go next. But of course, case by case.
Mm-hmm. All right. Questions from the audience. We have the most voted question from Camilla. In your opinion, what makes the startup ecosystem in Finland special?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And I think the first question is that, is the Finnish startup ecosystem special? We have some nice properties, but I guess you could call Silicon Valley very special. And other startup ecosystems, I think there's like ups and downs. But some really good features of the startup ecosystem, first of all, it's very dense so that people in the startup ecosystem know each other. So if you need to talk to investors, it's very easy to talk to very like experienced and successful investors, as well as experienced and successful founders. So in that way, you can like send a LinkedIn message to someone who has built like the biggest startup in Finland, and they would probably answer you if you have a relevant question. And that is not something that happens maybe everywhere else. Another thing is that I believe in Finland, there's this kind of a talkoo-henki, which means that when you have talkoot, when you help each other out without like getting any payment, because you know that they would help you out also later. That applies in the startup ecosystem 100%. Like with the aggregate amount of time that the coaches put into Kiuas for free, and with the combined experience they have with building successful startups and doing great investments, both in Finland and abroad, I believe that they could like build the next, I don't know, SpaceX or whatever, Google. Like there's so much talent that is being like, and knowledge that is being shared around every sort of week almost at Kiuas. And I feel like if that same happens in other accelerators as well, there's like this huge trend of like people just sharing good knowledge around. And maybe in addition to that, I would add that Finland has probably the most capital per person, like venture capital available per person. So we're a small country, but we have a decent amount of capital, which means that as a founder, if you have a good startup, then it's not hard to raise capital in Finland. So with that, then we of course have Business Finland and other public organizations. But if I would have to, one more thing that I would say makes the startup ecosystem kind of special is that it has been growing from the students upwards quite a lot. So from Aalto-ES and Slush, and now with all the other startup entity like entrepreneurship societies and organizations like Boost and Kiuas that have like started out as student driven, that is like a trademark of Finland. So that it started a lot more student driven than that there's like people, for example, from big corporations who started the entire thing. Of course, Nokia played the role, and of course the government has played a big role with the municipalities as well. But yeah, you cannot like underestimate the impact that Aalto-ES and Slush and Startup Sauna had in the early days.
Beautiful. Damn, that was so nice. Tomi, do you want to add something to that? From your own perspective, what do you think makes the startup ecosystem in Finland special?
Again, good question. Again, the special, who defines special in a way? Because I think that people are seeing Finnish ecosystem a bit more, let's say, too much in a white-blue way. It's not that super awesome that people see, again, because like I said, there's a lot of great things happening in the Baltic countries, especially Estonia. Sweden is doing really well. There's a lot of great places that are doing really well as well. It's just not us. And I think that that's one of the things that I hope that we're going to be honest about it, that we're not ready yet. We need to be pushing forward, and we need to be getting better, and we need to be expanding the network. We need to be collaborating. We need to be open-minded, and we need to be, and that's one of the big, that we need to be really work together, not only locally, but as a nationwide as well. Because we see that happening way too much in Finland, that there's this, like, I call them silos in a certain place, that there's things happening in certain place that nobody else is like interacting with at all. And we're still a so small country, and we're still having a limited amount of expertise and people that we need to be working more closely. We need to be even building up bridges with the Baltic countries and Sweden and everybody, because we have a lot of room that we can improve. Like I said, it's the old saying that the perfect startup would have the Finnish engineers and the Finnish and the Swedish people doing the branding and marketing. So it's like that. We need really to be more open-minded and working closely with other ecosystems as well. And for sure, like I said, Slush has been really doing a lot of great work on encouraging people to become entrepreneurs, startup founders, and I think that there's a really good momentum that has happened there. But still, I would hope that, like I said, we wouldn't stop, but we would like look forward to the ways that how we can make things better. I would hope that even like I said, the Finnish business angels would be as active as like the Estonian, because there's a lot less people in Estonia, but the angels are more active. That we could make better if we just be honest about ourselves that we can become better, because that's again about the startup entrepreneurs mindset as well, that we should always push to become better and better. What else could I say? I think that overall, even there's a lot of things that I don't like the Silicon Valley that much, because I've been there, but there's good things and there are bad things. The good thing is that active. Like I said, if they see that they need to make a connection, they make it. They're not just saying you that, hey, I know this person, contact him. No, they're actually like immediately calling him or doing the active introduction, because like I said, that's the way how you can make things happen. But like I said, what Patrik said is that the good thing about Finland is that you can all pretty much reach anybody here, because there's like even the phone numbers are on the website, and you can reach out to anybody because there's no layers in a way. So I think that's a good, definitely the positive side in Finland, that you can get anybody to reply on your request, and at least they say that if they can't, they just say, sorry, I'm busy or not interested or something, but at least they reply. So you can get really definitely, you can reach out people quite easy if you just are bold enough. And that's a good thing. Like I said, we're small, and and as we are small, there's advantages on that in a way. Like I said, you can really build up your network in Finland, quite a short. You can, like, everybody knows somebody, and surprisingly, like, things come together. Closes it.
Nice.
But yeah, so I would rant about this for ages, so I'm stopping here.
All right. Okay. Mikael, do you have anything to add to that?
No, Kelvin, I'm just like here thinking, like, those are the two masters over here, and I'm the student over here. I'm listening and getting more knowledge, and like eager to learn from those guys more. And like, I think that's kind of true that always you have some, like, I have been seeing in the Boost that I know people to come to be a coach, so it helps the ecosystem over there, and then somebody knows somebody else, and like, I think that's the most valuable thing in Finland, that we are providing those like context and humble things, but like, yeah, we have so many things to still learn and contact to the outside world, but yeah.
Nice. Like, I couldn't agree more, especially what Patrik said. Even though we are small, we actually have a lot of capital. So if funding is the issue for startups, they actually have an opportunity here with all the public funds and public organizations that are helping. And from what Tomi said, like, you can just test anyone. There's a help everywhere in Finland. You just have to know where to go, who to ask, and what to ask for, and you get it. And we even have a comment in the chat from Ma. It's like, she said that she's working with the startups in different parts of the world, Europe and US, and she thinks that the Finnish ecosystem is the best so far. So we even have people on the chat that are saying that, we are the best and we are the best. So I totally agree with that. If you are thinking of, I don't know, where to build your startup or where to move your startup from, you should definitely think about Finland. Being small, it gives us huge advantage, in terms of being able to engage with anyone and have access to capital and stuff like that. But like Tomi said, we have not arrived yet. We still want to be able to grow, to develop more. We still want to be able to represent more and provide more like support and opportunity to the startups. But with that being said, I think Finland is one of the fastest growing startup ecosystem in the world. I saw there was this like report that was made between 2015 and now. Finland is actually number 8 in Europe. The growth, the capital, the startups that have been produced is amazing. So that I hope that answers your question, Camila. Okay. We have a couple of more questions. We have a question from Para. It's been here for a while, so I'll just throw it out. What is the time commitment needed to join your programs? Is it possible to do it while still having a job or still studying?
Yeah, I'm now want to be the quick one, because then when the two is speaking, I'm always like out of any words. But yeah, I think you can, because like has been said, that the whole startup ecosystem and those things has been built in Finland, like from student-based places, and it doesn't, like, you don't need to be the whole thing towards for your startups. Of course, you need to have this like strategy parts, and you need to believe in yourself and your startup. But of course, there are understandable things that you might have different work. You want to have those like incomes in your life. And like in our accelerator right now, there is so many students out there who are just wanting to like learn, want to provide the skills to each other, and want to build the startups. So I think it's not an obstacle to be a student or a worker.
All right. How about you, Patrik? Do you consider being a student or having a full-time job a no-go area in terms of applying to Kiuas?
Depends on the program. So with Kiuas Start, it was also built based on the premise that there's a lot of people who are thinking about becoming entrepreneurs, but maybe they can't still afford it. What if we have founders who have, for example, families that they need to feed? Sometimes they want a little bit more reinsurance before they jump full time. And also, yes, a lot of people are also studying when they come up with an idea. And because of that, with Kiuas Start, the program is done like after working hours, so you can attend it in the evenings. However, we expect that if the startup sort of takes off, then you're willing to commit full time. Sort of like if you get some validation and you get like the answers you're looking for, then you are considering jumping full time. So in that way, it's about trying your startup and then committing if the sort of results are in. But then with Kiuas Accelerator, on the other hand, there we expect already for you to work full time on the startup. So then usually we see a little bit less student teams there because a lot of people want to finish their studies, which is totally okay. And not too many are ready to jump full time in the midst of their studies to start a company, which is, I don't know if it's a shame or if it's like a good thing. I don't really know, but it's just something I've noticed.
Mm-hmm. Nice. So for Kiuas Start, if you're a student, if you have your day job, you can jump in. But for Kiuas Accelerate, you just have to know that you probably have to go all in, because I guess the quality of startups that apply there are a bit high. You know, you must have probably gotten some revenue or some early traction. So at that point in time, you must have been able to make up your mind whether this is like where you want to go in full time or not. But what about for Nordic Startup School, Tomi? Does this serve as a barrier? Do you look out for people that are going into it for full time, or are you open to accepting students and people that have job on the side?
Well, it can sure be hard if you are working full time when you're building your startup, because there's a lot. We do full day in the program, so it can be hard for you to attend those. So, but it's kind of like normal that, let's say, out of 3 to 4 people, let's say a couple of them might be working full time and they're attending everything, and then the full team joins on those events that they can, that are in the evening or during Saturday, because we also do. That's why the boot camp is also happening both Friday and Saturday, because we hope that are not working full time can attend on Saturday. So that's part of the key essence, because we want to see the full team. We want to see how the full team works, and we want to understand what kind of how they are really like, are they making each other in a way? Because that can also be sometimes that not everybody feels in the team and they have been just being there. But but definitely I would say that at least a couple of 1-2 persons need to be at least, if not full-time, almost full-time working with the company, because it's, like I said, otherwise it's going to be really hard for you to implement the stuff that you learn during the program, because most of the stuff that you get during the boot camps or workshops can be implemented on the next day. But if the next day is you going to the work on another place, it can be hard to do that. At least some of the funders are close to full time.
All right, thanks for that. Okay, we still have some couple of questions in the Q&A section. I will take this one from Arthur. He's asking, do you have enough startups for all accelerators in Finland? Do you compete against each other?
Good question.
Yeah. Go for it, Patrik.
So it depends a little bit on how you look at it. So in the way I believe that if you are a good startup, you will find help already in Finland, right? But yet again, I can't speak for the other accelerators, but we are seeing only a fraction of the teams get selected to our programs due to the volume of applications. So for us, we at least see that there would be demand for more. And well, we've also expanded also internationally to see what's across the oceans, but that's another story. But one sort of interesting fact is that, for example, in deep tech in Finland, there's only like a few dozen deep tech startups that get formed each year based on like actual research being made in Finland. And for that, I feel like the volume is super small. And actually, like one of the bigger problems in this, not only also in deep tech, but in the entire ecosystem, is like making the volume of entrepreneurs larger. Sort of like helping also create startups instead of just like helping the ones that exist. So kind of like also this incubation and teaming up people and helping people get excited about entrepreneurship. And yeah, well, we also have some ideas at Kiuas that the sort of startup ecosystem currently isn't super inclusive in the way that a lot of people don't consider entrepreneurship as a viable career path, or that they might be super ambitious, but they don't see entrepreneurship as a way of being legitimately successful, or don't see it as honest work. So there's a lot of set work to be done yet, at least on our side. But we believe that the number of entrepreneurs is going to be driven up, and at least currently the demand it's really there.
Mm-hmm. Nice. What do you think, Tomi?
Well, for sure there could be more startups in a way, because I think that when you have more quantity, the quality will go up as well, because it's just statistics. And I would still like to hope that certain things happen. People that are working in a startup that are, let's say, not doomed to, let's say, hanging on by thread way too long, and like instead of like jumping ship, shutting down the company and setting up a new one, because we need to have the cycle speed of entrepreneurs needs to be faster. And I think that's one thing that I learned in the Silicon Valley, that the early phase, let's say first 6 months or 12 months, how people are testing out their idea is super rapid. And in a way, if the idea doesn't work and they don't get it forward fast enough, they will just give it up and form another company. So I think that's one of the things that there's a lot of great talent out there, but it's stuck in companies that are not going anywhere. So I would like to be setting up their new companies, so we have more startups. For sure, we have some great companies, but definitely again, one of those things that I would like to improve and have more startups, more experienced, even serial entrepreneurs that are setting up their own companies, number 2 or number 3, because quite often is that when you do one successful startup, you just end up being a business angel or set up a VC or something like that. So I think the talent cycles needs to be faster, so we have more startup format and even experienced one, because we see quite a lot that still it's mostly first-time entrepreneurs that are setting up their startups still. And that's something that we are lacking of, that we don't have the experienced people that have been doing, like I said, one good story or even a bad story. Because then again, one thing happens, unfortunately, if you fail your own startup, it can be quite cruel. Like you get the stamp of bankruptcy on your records. Certain things can become harder for you to set up another company. And I think that's one of the things that we should really look into more in Finland during the next, let's say, couple of years, that how can we nourish the people that have failed once to start again and do it again. Handicapping them and saying that you suck, you didn't succeed, but that guy learned a lot. And like I said, I have failed so many times in my life in all possible ways that just makes me better as I go. And that's what we should be doing more in the startups as well. That start again, try again. You have learned a lot.
Nice. Thank you so much, Tomi, for that. Mikael, you want to add anything to it, or you think it's all good?
yeah, I think it's all good. Like I think it's good. Like you have that little mindset. Like us Finnish people, we need to have that. Like you can learn from mistakes. You can learn from the failure. You don't need always to like succeed on life. It's more better to learn from the failure than from the succeed, because if you succeed, you'll learn to do that, but what's the next upcoming thing? That's the whole point.
Nice. All right. We are gradually coming to the end of the panel discussion, even though we still have a couple of more questions to go. I will take one final question from the audience side, then we'll continue with what we have on our list. And before the end, we can see if we can take another one. We have a question from Chi. I know you've somehow touched on this question, but I can give each of you like 3 seconds to just 1 second for each element. So she's asking, can you name 3 most important elements that you look for in a startup when you go through their application? I know that we've talked about something similar where we all talked about the team. But if you are to list 3, let's say team is number 1, what would be the other 2? Let's take like 2 seconds each and just give the next 2. Mikael, do you want to start this time around?
Yeah, like the idea of the scale up and the knowledge.
Okay, 2 seconds, perfect, done. Thank you.
Almost.
Tomi, please.
We're being polite here. Again, I guess it's what's the value that you are bringing to this world? That's what we look. Is that something real? For what would it be? I guess it's the momentum. That what have you been doing? Like, is this something that you've been like doing for 3 years and haven't gone anywhere? So, but still, if I like I said, the team would be my 3 choices.
Okay. All right. Cool. Thank you, Tomi, for that. Patrik, you can go next.
Problem, team, and Kiuas fit.
Perfect. That was less than 2 seconds. Thanks for that. All right. We'll continue with the questions we have already from the Q&A. We'll come back to the Q&A on the event page to see if we have some more. Okay. So we have this question about if they've already been part of another accelerator program. So can a startup join if they've passed through NSS and if they've passed through Boost? And can startup that has joined NSS go to Kiuas? Like, does it matter if they've been through any accelerator program, or is there like a no-brainer for you? If you've passed through 2 or 3, you shouldn't join.
Well, I guess I think, like I said, we look both in the Kiuas and both to the Boost Turku startups for NSS candidates for sure. Of course, why wouldn't be? Like I said, it's a positive thing that they've been already working with some that see that they could be great. And of course, like I said, we can understand and even ask more that, hey, Patrik, these companies applying, what do you think about them? How did they perform during Kiuas? Because that's sort of insight that we get all the time. And like I said, all the companies need all the that they can get to. So we should never be in any thinking that we're competing or the company can be joining. And I think that's one thing that what we hope the companies to understand, that it doesn't like matter what programs you've been going through. You can always learn more, and you need the people around you helping learn and pushing your company forward, and at the same time keeping you credible in a way. Because like I said, it's really hard to, like, as a startup, to keep on. There's so many opportunities, there's so many things happening, and I think that's why these kind of programs are really great, because they make you in a way focus on things that matter and are important.
All right, thank you so much, Tomi, for that. Patrik, what about Kiuas? Does it matter if you've been through any accelerator program in the past?
Well, for us, in sort of the short answer is no. Like, if you've been part of another program, that still doesn't explain the situation you're in. If you've been part of a program 2 years ago and you're now like applying to another one, then like, what have you been doing for the 2 years is essentially what matters. Now, we don't exactly appreciate teams who just go back to a bunch of different accelerator programs, because I don't believe the function of accelerator programs is that you will join just more accelerator programs. There are some synergies with the programs, however, so that some of them are for earlier stage, and after that you might be able to join another one, might be helpful. But I believe that there's, like, let's say, for example, Boost Turku, their program is a bit earlier than Kiuas Accelerator program. But I don't believe that every team that goes through the program should apply to our program, because once they've gone through the program, they should have already learned something, right? And for some of them, I think it should be also enough that they can make a great business out of it. So if there are teams that are kind of like going through 3 different incubation, startup, accelerator combinations, whatnot, it feels like, so you cannot build a business by yourself, but you need this kind of like guardrails or lifelines for you. With that being said, when we see teams applying who have been part of some other programs, we usually ask, like, so you've been part of that program, how do you feel like, what do you expect from this program to be different? Like, is there something that you believe you will get out of this one that you didn't get from the previous one? But yeah, I would say it depends always on their answer to that question, and not on like what on paper it says, like, to which programs they have been part of or not. Yeah,
nice. That's a really good answer. Mikael, do you want to add something about Boost Turku? Do you guys have some red area where if you're part of Kiuas, you feel that you are big enough, you shouldn't come to Boost, or is it flexible from your side?
Of course, like, we are looking on that, like, if we can't provide those needed things that like Kiuas can provide, of course we are saying that go to Kiuas. It's more advanced than we are. Of course, like, I have been seeing that we have the same coaches as Kiuas has, like in this year, and the mentors, few of them, but I think that they are maybe more focused on what the accelerator is providing to the teams, like what is the stage of the team. But yeah, I think the same as Patrik, that it doesn't still require that if you have been in the Boost Accelerator, that's the like golden tickets to go to Kiuas. After that, you need to think if that is the next stage or what not. So I think, yeah.
Nice. Good. If I can make a takeaway from this particular question, it would be to, of course, apply as much as you can, but don't do them back to back. Let's say, for example, Kiuas just finished for the past 3 months, and you entered into NSS in the next 3 months, and after NSS, you jumped into Boost Turku for the next 3 months. Which time are you going to have to build your company, actually? Is your company in the business of attending accelerator program? So every accelerator program is different. They offer different values, different experience, connections, and contacts. But don't make your business model around attending accelerator program. Getting all those badges, it doesn't give your business the revenue you want. So attend as much as you can, but the key thing is to get learnings from them, apply to your business, and see how it works. Of course, at every stage of the company, you might need to attend different accelerator programs. Let's say you are in the ideation stage, there's a program for that. First customer in revenue, there's a program for that. Series A, maybe there's a program for that. But don't pack all of them back to back, as Patrik said, so you don't, kill yourself. At the end of the day, you won't even have time to build the business. All right, we are really getting close to the end of this session, even though we have a lot more questions here, but sadly, we're not going to be able to go through all. So I will just go through like the conclusive part of this panel discussion. I'm going to ask, when is your next date? When is the date for your next badge for your programs? When is it going to launch, and how can startups apply? If possible, if there's a link, I can share it directly on the chat, but just let us know so that the startups here who are interested to apply for your programs can already know what to expect. We can start with Tomi. When is the next program for NSS, and how can startups apply to join?
All right, so the application for the autumn batch should be open today if it's not already. Program will have the first activity that will happen. It's going to be qualification workshop happening on 11th of September. So by then we should have around 15 candidates that we work together for one day and see which of those teams will go through the program together with us. So Nordic Startup School.com is the site that you can apply. And the earlier you apply, the better we have chance to get to know you, because like I said, we immediately start making indices that apply that seem promising and so on. So we recommend apply early so we have more time to get to know you.
All right, thank you so much for that, Tomi. What about for Kiuas? Patrik, when is the next batch?
Yeah, so we've traditionally had a Kiuas start in the spring and fall, and the Kiuas Accelerator in the summer. However, we just today earlier were talking with the team that we might be instead doing a bigger program that is going to be only in the beginning of 2022. So there might be that this fall we actually don't have the usual Kiuas start. Of course, following our social media, you're going to be the first to hear. However, what I would invite you all to is the demo day. So if you want to see some of the startups that have been part of this summer's program, I recommend everyone go just, get your calendar reminder through the link. And yeah, it's a free virtual stream to see some amazing startups from the Nordics and Baltics.
Nice, beautiful. He also shared the link in the chat. So guys, feel free to check it out, reserve yourself a ticket and join us. Okay, thank you so much for that, Patrik. What about for Boost Turku? Mikael, when is the next badge coming up?
Yeah, so the next is on the fall time. We have the Elevate. So it's more to the early stage. So if you have any little idea and you want to learn more what is startup about, what things are included to startup, how to pitch, and those little things, then the place or the program is for you. But also we are going to have our demo day in 24th of August. So the same thing, free tickets, and let's meet there. You can see how our startups has developed over the last 8 weeks and what they are going next for.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. All right. Thank you guys for that. All the links are in the chat. So you can, for Nordic Startup School, for Kiuas, for Boost Turku, we put all of the link in the chat. So feel free to click through, read more about their programs, and book your calendar for their next event, and ensure you get your team ready for the next badge, because like they said, team is super important. So go and discuss with your team and bring them on board. We have we have 12 minutes before the end of this session. So I'm going to use this last 10 to 12 minutes to ask for your tips or guide in terms of startups that are intending to apply for Accelerator program. Of course, you can decide to make this specific for your program, but in general, when a startup is deciding or trying to think about applying for Accelerator program, what are your guide or like your tips that you give to them to help them, you know, succeed in the application? I'm not going to point at anyone, so whoever the spirit leads can start first.
I can give a boring answer that I've already told, but we look at three things: the problem, the team, and the Kiuas fit. And if you can show all of these in the application form, then you're good to go. A very common mistake that people do is that they talk a lot more about the solution than they talk about the problem. And usually that is just misleading, to us at least. So usually really tell us why it's an important problem. If it's like a very technical problem or something, then we really need to understand it. Otherwise, we're going to get nowhere. Take time to talk about why your team is so excited about the problem. Why do you want to solve it no matter what? And also showcase why now would be the right time for you to be part of this program X, and why you believe that you're going to go to the stars with this program.
Great. Thank you so much for that quick advice, Patrik. How about for you, Tomi? What would you advise? What are those tips that you can give out to the startups to help them become more successful in the application?
I guess the same stuff that mostly focus on. I think it is like that. Tell us what problem are you really solving? What's the value that you're going to be bringing to the customer, whoever that is? We can find out if those are sounding good. Then we are interviewing you to find out if you are a good fit for us as a founder and as a team. So basically the background is more about the business and problem and solution and the value, but then we are doing the interview to find out if you are a really good fit for us. And it should be always going both ways. So, and then the last part on the interview is if we see everything is working out nicely, then we bring in some of our internal professional that has the last say that, hey, is this really something that is real? Is this like a real problem, and what kind of challenges they are facing, that we can like give also some value to even the applicants that don't get in, because like I said, we hope that even the teams that applied us earlier and don't get in, they're of course welcome to apply again in 6 months if we see that they're too early for us now, because like I said, it's a long journey to make things happen, and like the timing is really important, that you're going with us at the right time, not too early. Late.
Mm-hmm. Amazing. Thank you so much for that, Tomi. And over to you, Mikael. What would you advise the startups that are here who are thinking to get into your program?
I think the maybe most, like, the main thing is keep it real. Like, don't make up things that doesn't require your like startup. So we are also like, you are doing the applicant form, and then we are interviewing each team before the accelerators, and we want to see if the applicant and the interview is the like same thing, that they don't just tell things, they actually like knowledge themselves what they are telling to us. And of course the idea and how it's fit on our Boost mindset, and like for the thinking on the future parts of the startup, it's like you think to keep in mind, and also what is the team look like. But yeah, keep it real. I think it's the most valuable thing.
Nice. All right. Thank you so much, Mikael, for that advice. Actually, Tomi, the Nordic Startup School, you have a pitch event that's coming up where the startups get to pitch to the angels and get some sort of feedback. She just shared the link on the chat. I don't know. Do you want to talk a bit about that? Maybe it's something that will be interesting for some of the startups here.
Yeah. So we are having an event happening like mid-August, that we have the angels from the NSS network, or it's more or less like a money or advice thing, that it's not like we're saying that you're not getting money, but we actually give you that, okay, what kind of things we would as an angel see that we would hope you to do, that you become more attractive to angels. So it's sort of like in giving them an angel point of view, that what kind of things they're in to see more, or if in a good case you are already in a good spot to get the funding, then of course, like I said, then we can talk more. But that's the idea, that it's giving out advice also to the people, not just that, hey, you're not, but also that what would we like to see when you are eventually ready for the angel funding.
Nice. That makes a lot of sense, because most times the pitch competitions are always you get money or you don't get money. But in your case, it's like you get money or you get advice on how to make your, I don't know, pitch deck better, make your startup better, and you can come back for the money. So guys, if you're interested in this event, the link is already on the chat. Feel free to register and join NSS for that amazing event. All right. I think that's pretty much everything we have today in our list, even though we have some more questions that we couldn't get to, both from the audience and from the ones that we prepared. But as you know, we have 3 speakers, and if we want them to answer all of the questions, probably we're going to be here till tomorrow. But just to keep it really short and sweet. Also, if you have any further questions, feel free to reach out to the speakers on, I don't know, LinkedIn or on social media and shoot them your questions. I think they will be very much open to responding to you on that. And as for the recording, we'll be sending the video recording as a newsletter to everyone that registered for this event. So you can always go back and make some reference at any stage that you feel that you lost some things that the speakers were saying. We have about 4 minutes, so I will try not to go above your time, because we love to stick to time. Very finish. Thank you guys for joining us today, and for the speakers, I don't know how much to thank you for your time, for sharing your experience, and also for enlightening our community what they need to know before they apply for your program, so they can stand like a chance of getting in. Because I know that for sure you process like hundreds of applications, and who knows which of them are going to get in. So thank you so much for sharing all of these tips and guides and thoughts. And to our amazing partners who helped us to promote the event, to get more audience. Thank you guys for being part of Startup Grind, and we hope we keep serving you. For our next event that is going to happen in August, we're going to have a summer party. More details is going to come soon. So we'll have a pitch competition, the unicorn battle, where we'll select around 10 startups that is going to pitch to some angels that will be in the jury. So 3 of the startups will be qualified to get the prizes and all of that, and they will join us in the summer party, where we'll have some drinks and some food, because now the restrictions are a bit away, and we have the vaccines and stuff like that. So we want to start getting back to the physical events, and which best way to start that than to have a party, So stay tuned, watch your email, we'll send you more updates about that. And yeah, with that being said, I want to thank everyone for being part of the event, and also for the Startup Grind Helsinki team for putting together this amazing event, the marketing team, and those of us that are replying to comments and asking questions. Thank you guys for all your contributions and all the questions. Hopefully I'll see you guys next in our upcoming events. Stay safe and have an amazing summer.